Welcome to Illuminati Silver. We tell you the truth about silver. Today is Sunday the 25th of October 2020. And in this series we're asking the question, are we reaching peak gold? Now this is the third video in the series where we look at what others have to say as to whether we have reached peak gold or not. So let's take a look. Now, before we cover this week's episode, just a reminder that episodes 1 and 2 are listed in the description box below with links attached, just in case you haven't had an opportunity to listen to them. And as a reminder, in episode 1, we highlighted the issue of technology and whether gold could be extracted cost effectively, together with some theories of how gold originated in the first place. There are scientists who differ on this very subject, and we, not being scientists ourselves, are not truly qualified to express a specific view one way or another. But needless to say, though, that most of science is reasonably clear on how much gold can be reached, and perhaps a little less clear as to how much actually exists within the Earth's crust. Now, in episode 2, we gave a definition of peak gold as defined by Wikipedia, which in summary states, quote, peak gold is the date at which the maximum rate of global gold extraction is reached. According to Hubert peak theory, after the peak, the rate of production declines until it approaches zero. Unlike petroleum, which is destroyed in use, gold can be reused and recycled, unquote. We then moved on to quote various sources as to how much gold is potentially left in the ground, with the broad conclusion there is no shortage of gold on Earth. The problem is that it is much deeper than we can mine. And the World Gold Council has stated previously that, quote, there are 54,000 tons of below-ground gold reserves waiting to be mined. These below-ground reserves account for less than 30% of what has already been mined and would suggest that at current mining levels there is less than 20 years of available supply. Now today we're quoting a recent article published by the BBC which really tends to support the World Gold Council view, even though other experts predict there is far more available waiting still to be discovered. So let's take a look at that article. BBC article dated 23rd of September 2020 by Justin Harper, business reporter, BBC News. Headline: how much gold is there left to mine in the world? Last month, the price of gold hit a record high, pushing above $2,000 or £1,575 an ounce. While this price rise was driven by gold traders, it begs the question about the supply of the precious metal and when it will eventually run out. Gold is in hot demand as an investment, a status symbol, and a key component in many electronic products. But it's also a finite resource, and there will eventually come a stage when there is none left to be mined. Experts talk about the concept of peak gold, when we have mined the most we ever can in any 1 year. Some believe we may have already reached that point. Gold mine production totaled 3,531 tons in 2019, 1% lower than in 2018 according to the World Gold Council. This is the first annual decline in production since 2008. While the growth in mine supply may slow or decline slightly in the coming years, as existing reserves are exhausted and new major discoveries become increasingly rare, suggesting that production has peaked may still be a little premature, says Hannah Brandstater, a spokesman for the World Gold Council. Even when peak gold happens, experts say the years immediately after it are not likely to see a dramatic decrease in production. Instead, we could see a gradual depletion of output over a few decades. Mine production has flatlined and is likely on a downward trajectory, but not dramatically so, adds Ross Norman of metalsdaily.com. So how much is left? Mining companies estimate the volume of gold that remains in the ground in two ways. Reserves, gold that is economic to mine at the current gold price, and resources, gold that will potentially become economic to mine after further investigation or at a higher price level. The volume of gold reserves can be calculated more accurately than resources, although this is still not an easy task. The below-ground stock of gold reserves is currently estimated to be around 50,000 tons, according to the US Geological Survey. To put that in perspective, around 190,000 tons of gold has been mined in total, although estimates do vary. Based on these rough figures, there is about 20% still to be mined, but this is a moving target. New technologies may make it possible to extract some known reserves that aren't currently economical to access. The most recent innovations include big data, AI, and smart data mining, which can potentially optimize processes and bring down costs. Robotics are already being used at some sites and are expected to increasingly become standard technologies in mine exploration. Biggest sources. The largest single source of gold in history has been the Witwatersrand Basin of South Africa. Witwatersrand accounts for roughly 30% of all the gold ever mined. Other major sources of gold include the extremely deep Mponeng mine in South Africa, the Super Pit and Newmont Boddington mines in Australia, Indonesia's Grasberg mine, and mines in Nevada, US. China is currently the world's biggest miner of gold, while Canada, Russia, and Peru are also major producers. In terms of companies, Barrick Gold's majority-owned Nevada Gold Mines is the single largest gold mining complex in the world, producing about 3.5 million ounces a year. Though new gold mines are still being found, discoveries of large deposits are becoming increasingly rare, experts say. As a result, most gold production currently comes from older mines that have been in use for decades. And you can see on this list, you have US, Nevada, number 1, Uzbekistan, number 2, Russia, Dominican Republic, etc., etc. Harder to mine. Large-scale mining is extremely capital-intensive, employing lots of machinery and expertise to mine vast areas on and below the surface. Today, around 60% of the world's mining operations are surface mines, while the remainder are underground ones. Mining is getting harder in the sense that many of the large, low-cost mines and older ones, such as in South Africa, are nearing exhaustion, adds Mr. Norman. Chinese gold mines, on the other hand, are much smaller and therefore have higher costs. There are relatively few unexplored regions left for gold mining, although possibly the most promising are in some of the more unstable parts of the world, such as in West Africa. Record highs. Although gold prices hit a record high in August, this doesn't automatically translate into a rise in gold mining activity. In fact, changes in gold mine production often lag changes in the gold price very significantly. Given the scale of operations involved, it takes time to alter mine plans in response to changes in external factors, such as the price of gold, add Miss Brandstater. Also, the record prices have happened during COVID-19 restrictions, making it harder to mine, as sites were closed or partially shut down to curb the spread of the virus. Price rises have actually been driven by the pandemic, as investors view gold as a safer asset in times of economic uncertainty. Unlikely places. While gold in the ground may be hard to quantify, it's not the only source. There is also gold on the moon. However, the costs associated with mining it and transporting it back to Earth are significantly higher than the value of the gold. Whilst it exists, it would never be economically meaningful to mine it, says space expert Sinead O'Sullivan. You would lose an infinitely larger amount of money mining it than you would gain by selling it. Similarly, there are some known gold deposits in Antarctica that may never be economical to mine due to the continent's extreme weather conditions. Gold is also scattered along the ocean floor, but it's also considered uneconomic to mine. One factor gold has on its side, though, is that unlike other non-renewable resources like oil, it can be recycled. So we will never run out of gold, even when we can no longer mine it. A large amount of gold is used in electronic products that are widely viewed as disposable, such as mobile phones. The amount of gold in the average phone is worth a few pounds. Efforts to recycle gold extracted from electronic waste are already well underway. End of article. Now that's an interesting viewpoint. It's also, though, interesting to note that the 10 largest gold mines in the world are as follows. 1. The South Deep Gold Mine in South Africa. 2. The Grasberg Gold Mine in Indonesia. 3. The Olympiada Gold Mine in Russia. 4. The Lihir Gold Mine in Papua New Guinea. 5. The Norte Abierto Gold Mine in Chile. 6. The Carlin Trend Gold Mine in the United States of America. 7. The Boddington Gold Mine in Western Australia. 8. The Mponeng Gold Mine in South Africa. 9. The Pueblo Viejo Gold Mine in the Dominican Republic. And 10. The Cortez Gold Mine in the United States. Now, according to recent estimates, between them, they have approximately 192 million ounces of reserves still to mine, which suggests the equivalent of around 2 to 3 years of current global mine supply, therefore suggesting a reliance on smaller mines to make up the 20 plus years of envisaged available global supply, according to the World Gold Council. Now, of course, we also have to bear in mind that not all countries accurately report their figures, and so, at the very least, it is a best guess scenario. But that said, and this is what's important for investors, 20 years' supply, accessible economically currently, is not long, and therefore major advances in technology or new mining research is required to find additional gold supply, or the other alternative is that the price will have to rise to justify digging deeper and reopening or developing further what are currently regarded as uneconomic mines or deposits. This is why, taking the long-term perspective into account, and should be of particular interest for those of a younger age, the acquisition of gold as a source of retirement fund, or merely as a form of long-term savings, really, in our view, is a no-brainer. Now, next week, we shall delve just a little deeper into the demand side of the equation, as we cannot truly assess peak gold without having some idea of how much is currently being demanded and how that demand trend is likely to move forward over the years ahead. Meanwhile, please, by all means, do share your thoughts below. And if you have any information that we've not already covered, or you would like us to cover on this subject, then by all means make the necessary suggestions. Finally, thank you so much for listening. If you haven't already done so, please subscribe to our channel, not forgetting to press the bell sign so that you're notified of our videos as and when they are published. We hope you have found this video interesting and informative, and if so, please give it a thumbs up and share it on social media. Please ensure that you have subscribed to our channel and press the bell sign so that you are notified of any future videos. Also, kindly visit our website at illuminatisilver.com, and if you haven't already done so, please subscribe either as a free or paying member for regular email updates and offers. Disclaimer: Illuminati Silver owners come from a background of banking, international wealth management and economics. Having now retired from these worlds, we are not qualified to give investment advice. Therefore, this and other productions must not be deemed to be giving such advice and merely represent the personal views of its owners.